friends, I'm here with another video. Today we're going to talk about the absorption strategy. One of the most widely used and low-risk strategies is something you can see on the footprint chart, order flow. You can see it and use it as a signal and have some very good trade. If you haven't seen the videos on footprint charts and installing NinjaTrader yet, be sure to check out the relevant playlist and take the time to watch those videos so you can get familiar with footprint charts, as well as the many different features included in this AI tflab indicator that you can see. Now, before we move on, I want to take a moment to give you a more detailed explanation of what absorption itself actually means in this context. You see, sometimes a situation arises in the market where several candles or candlesticks occur consecutively, one after another, in a sequence. For example, you might see anywhere between 3 to 5 or even up to 6 candles in a row, each one following the previous one, with a certain noticeable difference between them in terms of their size, color, or position. In this particular scenario, actually, let's look at an example on the chart together so I can explain a bit more. Yes, here, for instance, look, right here, there are 4 candles where the price has moved by a difference of 1 to 2 or 3 ticks at most, but in these 4 candles, this condition has persisted and it has actually absorbed a portion of the liquidity and prevented the price in this example from going higher. But anyway, after the price exits the absorption, we need to see what the conditions are like so we can
7 powerful volume trading indicators: footprint, volume profile, and fastest gap. Level up your trading.
make a decision about it and then execute a suitable trade. Okay, let's go. I'll draw it for you in general so you know how this absorption condition actually works. Look, I'm considering this candle right now. This is one candle. Actually, if this part is its high and this part is its low, the price can move at most between 3 ticks down or 3 ticks up. But within what range? I mean, for how many candles? Between 3 to 4 candles. So if we assume the next candle is here, the next candle, oh, I drew this very badly. Let me erase it. If we assume the next candle is here, another candle could also be in this range. Now, these 4 candles have a difference of 2 to 3 ticks at most and have formed this box where the price, let's assume, was in an uptrend. They absorbed the buyers and didn't let the price go any higher than this. And now we have to see how the conditions unfold after this. Let me tell you one point, that this box that occurs and these 4 candles that occur here, we must definitely keep in mind that a minimum volume must have been formed by these 4 candles. Of course, it can also vary depending on the trading sessions and market conditions, but we consider a minimum volume for 4 candles, which I've actually set now at 900. And the minimum volume that this box and these 4 candles must have is 900. It depends a lot on your symbol and the trading session. You must backtest and check the condition. Well, let's assume for a moment that a box has been formed, meaning the strategy is actually such that when the absorption box occurs, we must pay close attention to the candle that occurs after this box. Of course, there might be a 1 or 2 tick gap and another absorption might happen right here. But for now, we'll assume that the absorption ends with just this one box. If a situation arises where the candle closes above or below the absorption completely, if the candle closes after the absorption box, we will then enter a trade. Now, whichever side that box is broken from, we enter the trade, and with the next absorption candle closing, I enter the trade here. I place my SL behind the absorption zone and on this other side too, meaning if on the lower side this also happens. I enter the trade when this candle closes and place my SL behind the absorption. Well, but another situation might also unfold in a different way, which is like this. If we have the absorption box and we assume this is a downward path, the next candle comes and actually shadows the bottom or shadows the top. Now, it doesn't matter which side, whichever side it shadows, I trade in the opposite direction, meaning if it shadowed the top, I'll sell downwards, and if it shadowed the bottom, I'll buy upwards. So keep this in mind. Okay, now let's go to the chart and examine a few examples. Let us all come together now to see how
Learn and enter the world of binary option with us. Binary option indicators, powerful strategies, learn, trade, win. Level up your trading.
we can spot these. Okay, I'm seeing this right here, but to access the absorption settings, you just need to click on footprint order flow AIT tflab at the top of your chart to enter the settings section. Once you're in the settings, let me move this over a bit so that you can actually see the absorption box. So you can find a section towards the bottom of these settings called absorption area. And when you click it, the related settings will open up. The first option is basically to enable showing the absorptions to you, which you must check to be able to see the absorptions on the chart. The second part is tick tolerance, which is the distance these candles can have from each other, like 1, 2, or 3 ticks higher or lower than each other, which we've currently set to an average of 2 ticks. And for the 6E or Euro USD, 2 ticks is a good number. It's been back tested, but depending on the symbol you choose to trade, it can vary. So definitely back test to see which tick tolerance gives you better results and shows you more reliable absorptions. The next option is bar count, which specifies the number of candles it needs to count for these conditions to be met, which I'll set to 4 for the Euro USD symbol. And the next option is for volume, which is the total volume of these 4 candles. The next option is the display style, which you can adjust based on your own visual preferences and what you find more comfortable. And the last option shows you the volume related to that specific area. If you don't see it now, it's because these volume conditions are visible in another view of the chart, meaning if you zoom out a bit, you'll see a volume sigma around the box, which is 1.4 for these 4 candles, summing up 408, 157, 556, and 329, which I think comes to around 1457 or so. And it shows it to you with 1 decimal place. So that's the settings and how to enable absorptions in this indicator. If you haven't seen the footprint videos yet, I strongly recommend watching them to learn about other features and combining absorption with other market conditions like single print, large print, delta, and things like that. Combine them and create your own specific strategies. All right, let's look at the conditions and the strategy. Okay, I see an absorption here. The conditions are met, and a candle has also actually closed below the absorption and is positioned under it. I can execute my trade here once this candle closes and place my stop loss behind the absorption zone, maybe 2 or 3 to 4 ticks. At most, place your stop loss above the absorption. But look, in this example, the daily high is actually very close to the absorption. If you want to make a safer trade, it's generally better to place your SL above this entire range. Now, let's look at an example together. Check the risk to reward here, my entry point, my stop loss, and my TP. Let me pull this over a bit so you can see where exactly my TP was hit. You see my TP was easily touched and the price dropped. Of course, let me set this to dollars, let me change this and set it to currency. See, my SL was $156, but my profit was $312. I could have placed this under certain conditions with a higher risk behind my absorption. Well, my TP would have been hit sooner, but the amount of that TP would be less. But then again, my risk might be a bit higher. All right, let's look at another example on the chart to see where we can find one. Yes, here. Okay, there's another example of absorption here. As you can see, let's check the volume on it as well. Well, this is 2,100, which shows that the volume figure was quite acceptable. The candles were very strong. The candle that occurred after the absorption wicked the top of the absorption, essentially fishing the top area, and then the price came down, and this candle itself has a negative delta and is also negative. To enter a trade on this signal again, I would have entered the trade once this candle closed. So when the wick is positioned higher than the absorption level, what I do is place my stop loss, or SL, 2 ticks above the very top of the wick. As you can see here, my take profit, or TP, was easily hit again, and there was really no risk involved. Now let's look at another example. So this is an example of wicking or fishing. The absorption ceiling and collects that liquidity and then continues its movement once again. We have another example here where absorption has occurred again. Let's see what the volume is. It had a volume of 3.5K here. The volume was 3,500, and it shows that a very powerful absorption has taken place here. As you can see, it's actually at the market ceiling, and well, few traders would want to place a buy trade at the ceiling again. But this candle you see, after the absorption, it actually broke the absorption and the price closed above it. If I want to perform my trade here again, quite simply after this candle closes, and I'll place my SL behind the absorption. You see here, the conditions were quite long, and it took a long time to reach my TP. But fortunately, as you can see, the strategy is powerful and was able to hit my TP again and provide the conditions for me to make a profit. Well, be sure to follow me on social media, especially YouTube, and hit the bell icon to stay informed about the latest tutorials and strategies, whether regarding ICT or in the field of volume trading and Ninja Trader. Some items might have updates, so you can stay informed and up to date. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments, then I'll definitely answer you, and I hope you make the most of this strategy as well. Be sure to backtest on your own symbol, and in the session you trade, be sure to consider the volume, and I hope you're profitable. Have a good day and goodbye.